How do I apply format to create brain-based training design? That's the question we'll be exploring in the 5-part format web-based workshop, which focuses on how to apply format to your own content, and specifically how do we really address all of the learning styles. How do we engage everyone as we move through the learning experience? If you're familiar with format, you're probably familiar with the learning type measure and the 4 key learning styles that are defined through this instrument. There's over 1 million people have taken this, and a lot of people really focus on what their learning preference is. And what's interesting when we think about learning is that we all have preferences in a learning experience, and we all move through the learning experience in the same kind of predictable way. It's the part of the cycle that we tend to enjoy the most that really shapes our learning style. Some of us are more feelers or thinkers in the way we like to take in information, and some of us like to watch or move into action when we're processing. Your preference for those 2 ends of those spectrums define what your style is. The question as a trainer is really, how do I address the preferences of every learner and at the same time make sure that I'm delivering on learning transfer, because it's a much bigger conversation than just making everybody happy in the learning experience. Dr. James Zoll at Case Western shared this research that we're looking here at the screen, which is that when we move through a learning experience, we follow this path. We have an experience, we reflect on it, we watch, we think about it, we add new knowledge, and then we do something with it and we test it, and then ultimately that creates a new experience. This is what the brain research tells us is happening when we're learning new information. The format framework allows us to design following what we know happens in the brain. In a 4-part model, we begin to look at how can I design, first by engaging the learner, how can I share the information in a way that the learner will really get that information, what practice can I create, and then how could I develop performance so that we know that the learner can do it and adapt and be able to assess their own performance when they move into the real world. What you'll discover in this 5-part course is that we're going to look at how do we craft outcomes around this cycle. That's the first part. And then once I have those outcomes, what might I include in my design? What you're looking at here is the design wheel that you'll be using in this course. And you can see here that it's 8 steps because we integrate both right and left mode activities. We'll design those outcomes and we craft the outcomes in a way that we make sure we're having a value shift, a knowledge shift, a skill shift, and an adaptation shift. And then we begin to look at, once we have those clear outcomes, what activities fit into the design that will both appeal to the learner styles that we're attempting to really engage, but more importantly, how do they fit within the flow of what has to happen in the learning cycle. And we do that by looking at each part of the cycle, and we look at the outcome that we're trying to address. So when we want to create commitment, how do we do that, and what activities might work best for that? When we're looking at creating a shift in knowledge with a focus on application, what activities would really work in this part of the design, and that would also happen to appeal to the learner that really enjoys this type of learning, part of the learning process. And we do this in each step of the design process. And what we end up with is a design that moves the learner through the brain-based process that we know has to happen, and it also appeals to every learning style. So every learning style is getting what they enjoy, and more importantly, they're getting what they need to be able to really implement this learning when they move out into the real world. This web-based series is highly interactive, so you will be working with some of the tools that we use online. You'll get to collaborate with others. We have a social forum that's part of this course that allows you to post questions, share assignments, and connect with other learners. And we do record every session, so if you can't make one, you can always catch the class at a later time. And we look forward to having you join us. So if it's something you're interested in, contact us. If you have any questions, give us an email or a call, and we'll be happy to chat with you.